Good morning to all the students, teachers, to Dr. Ranario, of course, my professor, and to everyone who is watching this. I am John Rex Garcia Pugoy, a Master of Arts in English Language Teaching student. So for today, I will discuss to you the 4 laws of ecology. Are you ready to know? Okay, so before we proceed to our lesson, I want you to know first the definition of ecology. So, what is ecology? Okay, so it is the study of relationships and processes linking living things to the physical and chemical environment. That is ecology. So, who do you think formulated the 4 laws of ecology? Do you have any idea? Okay, so it was Dr. Barry Commoner. Okay, so it was Dr. Barry Commoner who formulated the 4 laws of ecology. So let's have this short story time. In the 1971 book of The Closing Circle, Barry Commoner gives us a clear and understandable example of what ecology really means, while being one of the first to sound the alarm on the impending environmental crisis. So, Dr. Barry Commoner was a cellular biologist and a college professor. So, he was the one who formulated the 4 laws of ecology, which happens to be our lesson for today. Okay, so without further ado, I will be presenting to you the 4 laws of ecology formulated or made by Dr. Barry. So the first law is everything is connected to everything else. The second one, everything must go somewhere. Okay? So for the third law, we have nature knows best. And for the fourth and the last law, we have there is no such a thing as a free lunch. Okay, so later on, I will be dissecting or I will be explaining each of these laws to you. So please stay tuned. Okay, so we have here the first law of ecology made by Dr. Barry. So the first law is everything is connected to everything else. Do you agree with this law? Okay, so if I were to answer, yes, I do agree with the first law of ecology. For we only have one ecosphere, and that is true. Which we are all referring to all the living organisms on Earth, that what might affect one generally affects all. And consistently happening like a domino effect within the society. Right? Okay, so the situations reflect on whatever existence within the elaborate network of interconnections throughout the ecosphere. These can be simplified in the relationship among different living organisms in the environment and the populations between populations which are tremendously increasing with their physico-chemical surroundings and behavior. To give you an example of this theory is the result of the environmental possibilism to the humans and the other species which genuinely connected or are connected with whatever changes or development in the competitive landscape. I am talking about food chain and food web as an example. But why food web and food chain? Because this law talks about connection, that when one is affected, other organism will be affected too. Okay, so what do you think will happen if there's no technology at present? There would be no learning, right? Meaning students can't learn because of this pandemic, and in the long run, students will be left uneducated and unemployed. So same with the food web and food chain. If there will be no producers, consumers will never exist, right? So everything is connected to everything else. It's very basic. Are we good? Okay, so let's proceed to law 2. Okay, so we have here the second law of ecology made by Dr. Berry. Everything must go somewhere. So I really agree with this law because in nature, there is really no waste and no away in nature. Any waste produced in one ecological process is recycled in another. This is a core principle for the circular economy. This law, of course, is somewhat informal restatement of a basic law of physics, that matter is indestructible, right? So applied to ecology, the law emphasizes that nature, or that in nature, there is no such thing as waste. In every natural system, what is excreted by one organism as waste is taken up by another as food. Animals release carbon dioxide as a respiratory waste. This is an essential nutrient for green plants. Plants also excrete oxygen, which is used by animals and humans. Animals or animal organic wastes nourish the bacteria of decay. Their wastes in organic materials such as nitrate, phosphate, and carbon dioxide become algal nutrients. Therefore, this is the way to counteract the prevalent notion we heard as the nuisance from the colleagues that something useless as goes away whenever their wastes have been discarded. But merely these wastes have been transferred from place to place into a recycling process, which our biology subject justify through conversation or conversion from one molecular form to another in the life processes. One basic example for this is recycling, right? So you recycle things so you can use these things again in the future, or maybe these things are useful in some other ways. So ultimately, this law tells us to maximize the use of something, to not waste any, because waste is not a word for nature. There is no waste and away in nature. Everything is useful and beneficial. Remember that. So are we ready to proceed to the law number 3? Okay, so we have here the third law of ecology made by Dr. Berry. Nature knows best. So in a world of hypocrisy, the humankind around the world is fashioned with the technological innovations which have changed our life passionately, and with those notions intended to improve the quality of nature where we are living with seems to be harmful to Earth's inhabitants. Nature knows best. This is the third law of ecology. Commoner rights holds that any major man-made change in a natural system is likely to be detrimental to that system. Story time. During 5 billion years of evolution, living things developed an array of substances and reactions that together constitute the living biosphere. However, the modern petrochemical industry suddenly created thousands of new substances that did not exist in nature. Based on the same basic carbon chemistry patterns as natural compounds, these new substances enter readily into existing biochemical processes, but they do so in ways that are frequently destructive to life, leading to mutations, cancer, and many different forms of death and disease. It is said by commoner that absence of a particular substance from nature is often a sign that it is incompatible with the chemistry of life. In short, what nature offers is for the best of its inhabitants. Human creations or nature enhancements made by humans may be useful but may be useful but on the dark side, harmful to humans and animals as well. Therefore, nature knows best. Okay, so we are down to the last law made by Dr. Berry. There is no such thing as a free lunch. So this law applies everywhere where you can't be able to ask someone for free. But passionately, we need to work harder to gain something that we need within the environment we live in. A world of hypocrisy. Right. So which, therefore, the equation must be balanced as we are doing and solving the algebraic equation. Whereas in economics, it means with the credit and the debit in the ledger, spreadsheet that have to be balanced somehow, otherwise mentally ill. So the fourth informal law of ecology expresses that the exploitation of nature always carries an ecological cost. From a strict ecological standpoint, human beings are consumers more than they are producers. In ecology, as in economics, the law is intended to warn that every gain is won at some cost. In a way, this ecological law embodies the previous three laws because the global ecosystem is a connected whole in which nothing can be gained or lost and which is not subject to overall improvement. Anything extracted from it by human effort must be replaced. Payment of this price cannot be avoided, it can only be delayed. The present environmental crisis is a warning that we have delayed nearly too long. We have not replaced what we have gotten. I am talking to the distraction we have made because we always think and believe we own this planet, that we can always get what we want, though we are aware and conscious of its cost. I hope this useful planet will never be a useless planet. I encourage you to take care of our home, and hopefully this will ignite your will to do what is not just good for you, but for our Mother Earth as well. So, I have tackled the 4 laws of ecology, and we are done with those laws. We are done explaining and dissecting them. So, in the next slide, I need you to reflect or to answer my personal question, or you just need to reflect on this question. So you will be awakened with what is happening at present. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever planted a seed or a tree? Haven't you? If I were to answer this question, yes. Definitely yes, because trees offer most of our life's essentials, just like food and oxygen. And I also hope that you have planted a seed or a tree also, because every tree means hope. Every tree counts, and if you plant trees, your neighbors, their neighbors, the community, the nation, and the country will radiate and follow that simple act of goodness to Mother Earth. Try to reflect on the images displayed. You can see a very green surrounding. Beside is a line saying the enemy is us. Let us all prove this wrong, because we are inhabitants who are supposed to preserve nature, not the other way around. Let us look towards the future and continue to learn how to improve and implement actions that provide positive results. I've learned that the only things we have complete control over are our own attitudes and determination. Illuminating for the environmental problems that we have created must be resolved accordingly so that the upland and the lowland areas will satisfy their needs. if within the government agencies where the officials are practicing graft and corruptions must be stopped and passionately do the things according to the work you are doing for the common good and following the rule of law. So, in general, the four laws warn that every gain is won at some cost. Because our global ecosystem is a connected whole, any impact, anything extracted from nature by human effort must be replaced. There is no avoidance of this price, and delay only creates the ecological disruption and biodiversity loss we are witnessing. So hopefully you will be awakened, and also you understand the four laws created by Dr. Berry, the four laws of ecology. Thank you so much for watching, guys. So this video is a video project tasked by my professor, Dr. Ceferina Ranario from Mater Dei College. So I hope you learned something which will make you a better individual who cares for nature. I really love Dr. Berry's laws because they are all true and useful. Together, let us all make a change. We may not be in the same country, we may not have the same opportunity, but the earth is what we all have in common. Thank you so much, and God bless.